And we're back. Yeah. And that was, this is what happens. Cosmic technical difficulties is what happens
This
sometimes
is
when
what
you have a
happens when
massive,
Galactus
yeah,
decides to come into your chat.
yeah. I mean, it's a problem. He's always just budging in where he doesn't belong, which brings us to the topic today um, of our superhero sidebar. I was thinking about, online you always have these versus battles. It's usually like, who's more powerful, Darkseid or Odin, or who's more powerful? It's usually more powerful people than that. It's like
Like Thor.
Scarlet Witch versus Raven, um, or you've got, just like these ultra super powerful characters against other ultra super powerful, basically omnipotent people against omnipotent people. And I'm like,
Right.
okay, I somehow that's not that interesting to me. So I was pitching kind of unusual versus battles, and one of them that came up, I was like a real mismatch, and I like the idea of mismatches. And it's like, how does this work? And the one that came to my mind in particular was, you know, Galactus versus the Kingpin. And is there a way that the Kingpin could match up against Galactus? And you know, at first glance, you're like, well, that's ridiculous. Galactus is way more powerful than the Kingpin, but Galactus is way more powerful than the Fantastic Four. And I would say that the Fantastic Four is actually closer in power to the Kingpin than they are to Galactus. But yet they managed to repel Galactus. So that was kind of a question of mine in my mind. And so I don't know. I was imagining a planet where there's no superheroes around. So it's kind of the Kingpin gets word that Galactus is coming, and he has to come up with some sort of defense. And so my thought would be the first thing you would do, knowing that the Fantastic Four had repelled Galactus before, is he would hire the Frightful Four to act as proxies, so they would go up against him and at least do their best, which was probably not that good.
Well, who's the Frightful Four?
That's the Frightful Four. Well, I'm thinking the original. That's the Wizard, Electro, Sandman, and Paste Pot Pete, aka the Trapster.
No, he's still Paste Pot Pete.
I think that's his best name,
Yes.
whether he thinks so or not. But I was thinking send them up against them, and I don't think they would do very well against. I mean, certainly Galactus would ignore them, but he would send his Herald or the Punisher robot after them. But my big thing though is I think that the Kingpin would do it with his networks, right? That's how he deals with
Right.
it. So he would hire some people, and then but I think the network is. It strikes me that there must be some sort of alien criminal network on the planet Earth, and if that exists, I would think that the Kingpin must have some connection with it, you know? And if he hasn't so far, he could probably sniff it out.
Right.
I'm
Right.
thinking use his network to get information about this Galactus being. And maybe he's in touch with like Skrull criminals who are kind of hanging out on Earth, or maybe exiles from other, alien races that are stuck on Earth. Um, but he would get the information about Galactus and what's going to be happening. Because I don't know that the Watcher's necessarily going to be coming down and
Yeah.
giving him background information.
The Watcher's probably sitting back with some popcorn watching what's going
Yeah.
on. Oh, this should be interesting.
And then I'm thinking that he would get in touch with magic users, because magic may be better against Galactus than your traditional powerhouses. And then I was imagining that he might open up a portal to the dark dimension, have all the Undying Ones from the dark dimension come out, because the Undying Ones are invulnerable, right?
I was going to say, who in the magic world would the Kingpin get in touch with? Though? That's
a good question.
He's got, assassins, right? The ninja types, the bullseyes, and the, I don't know, Tombstone, or I guess he's not, but he's, those types I definitely see him with. And I could definitely see him like people like, Smythe and the Wizard, some of these scientific villains, Doc Ock, I could see,
Well, all I'm saying is that this power that they're facing is, I don't know that science is going to do it. It's almost like, I mean, there's an asteroid coming towards the Earth. You find out with 24 hours to deal with it. I mean, even scientists are going to struggle with that. But if you're talking about just sheer power, magic is a quicker way to get like really big power. Um, but yeah, who would he touch base with? I'm not sure, but I actually was reading a recent issue, or an issue from a couple years ago, of this Black Cat comic series. And hey, we've got Lex Tech in the comment section. Good to see you. How you doing? I was reading it. I think it was Jed McKay is the author of this Black Cat series, and she was trying to infiltrate Doctor Strange's Sanctum Sanctorum, his Greenwich Village house, and she actually hired a low-level.
I think I read that.
Yeah. She hired somebody who was, a magic user, who, basically lost it once against Doctor Strange, but she brought him in, and then he went crazy, and things got haywire.
Yeah.
But I'm just,
playing false.
That's what I'm saying is there are magic users out there that one would presume you'd be able to
find somebody
to hire or conscript. I mean, certainly his criminal network probably goes to places where there are magic users.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't be.
Who's the guy that? Oh God, the Hood.
That's DC.
No, what's the guy with the guns and the cape, the Red Hood, something like that?
Isn't that DC?
No, there's a Marvel guy, isn't there?
Red Hood, I'm pretty sure is like some older version of Robin or something in DC.
Oh no, that is. You're right. Yeah, no, that's not who I'm thinking of. It's a guy with guns, and he runs around, and he's just got like a cape, red cape, something like that.
Okay.
Okay.
Is he one of the Iron Fist guys? Was he the guy that uses the Iron Fist to supercharge his bullets?
I don't think so.
Anyway.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, you're right. I didn't think out the specific magic user. But Terrence, why don't you research who are some criminal magic users that maybe he could get?
Because he works with like the Hand or something like that.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, the Hand right there, that's a criminal organization that has a bunch of magic stuff going on. And the Kingpin, you would think, would have some connection with them. So I think it's there. But I don't know who the specific person would be. But is going to get some sort of means to get the Undying Ones from the Dark Dimension to just pester Galactus, because the Undying Ones are, canonically indestructible, but not necessarily super strong or whatever. They're all kind of like little Cyclops beasts. They have these, beams they shoot out, but they're pests. They're basically pests. So if you could sick him on Galactus, he'd be like swatting at him like gnats. And I don't think that would. I mean, Galactus could stop them, but it would be something that would be a big distraction while figuring out some other way to deal with them. And then my solution would be to bring in the Hulk adversary, Klaatu. If you know who Klaatu is, it's a giant approximation of Moby Dick, a cosmic version of Moby Dick, where it's this giant energy being that. Or a giant being that lives off the energy of stars, with the hopes that if this energy being comes to Earth and it's starving enough, that maybe it'll try to absorb Galactus in some way. And I think that would be kind of an interesting.
Actually, that would be interesting. That would be a battle of like wills, right? Like, because they're both big. I mean, because doesn't Galactus essentially convert everything into energy, and when he eats a planet?
Yeah. So I mean, it could go either way, but I think the thing is that if Klaatu comes, if he beats Klaatu, then he's absorbed Klaatu, and maybe
he's full.
That feeds him. He's like, oh well, I'm full. I don't need to have Earth. Earth lives again,
Yeah.
Or Klaatu weakens Galactus enough that, and Klaatu doesn't eat planets, so it's like, yeah. So anyway, that would be my strategy, Terrence. Now, the the ball is in your court. How would you pick apart?
I
How would
mean,
you pick this apart, or what would be your alternate way of dealing with
well, I mean, I would just think, I think he would go, your science based villains would really just be like, yeah, his path forward, because he has a lot of those. He knows a lot of those. And if you can get, we're assumption here is that like the heroes are gone. So he's not manipulating some hero into doing what he wants.
Yeah.
I think that would be the other way, he
Yeah.
do something to manipulate, Sentry or some really powerful Blue Marvel or somebody into fighting, Galactus for him, because like if the villains are going to save the Earth, they're going to do it with, manipulating heroes, or they're going to, would any of the science, I guess, left over by the heroes be left even if the heroes are gone? Like, is there some villain who could like connect to the not the dark dimension, the negative zone or something, and like maybe open a portal that like ships Galactus out of,
Oh yeah.
us, or us away from him, either way, or is there some entity that we could, get as a connection so that we can figure out, is there something else we could offer him? Because I think he's a deal maker, right? Kingpin makes deals,
That's true.
he's gonna think of this in some transactional method and like, okay,
What
can I get you? What do you really want here that I can get you instead of Meyer?
do you think Kingpin would offer to be the Herald of Galactus or something?
That would be fantastic.
Because that'd be, except that, I mean, I guess he could be like, Terrax, when he was the Herald of Galactus, he tried to use it for villainous purposes. He would try to conquer, I think he tried to conquer planets and stuff.
That would be awesome. Kingpin, Herald of Galactus.
So Kingpin could do that. He could create a criminal network around the universe that way.
Because, he would start off by just like, all right, I got the powers of the Silver Surfer or whatever, hey, Spider-Man, hey, Daredevil, what you guys doing?
I think he would be the spice maker or something.
Spice maker.
What? Well, because he's a humble spice dealer, right?
What?
That's his cover.
I didn't know that. That was a new one to me. I did not know that.
I think isn't the Kingpin is I am but a humble spice trader or something. Kingpin, humble
spice was a thing.
Okay. Let me see what.
By the way, the character I was trying to think of before is not the Red Hood. He's just the Hood, but he wears a red hood.
Oh,
he has like two golden guns, and the Hood has some connection to some demon. I think I heard somewhere that he might be the next Ghost Rider or something like that. I don't know what's going on with him. He's an interesting character when he came up, but I don't know much about him.
Well, what's a mismatch that you'd like to see? A versus mismatch.
Oh, like I always liked. Okay, going back to Man Thing, I always liked when Man Thing was like Master of Kung Fu versus Man Thing.
Oh God,
it was just kind of like, that's.
Well, that's almost Man Thing against anybody, though.
in a way, because Man Thing is really powerful, but it's really funny.
Well, it's not so much powerful. It's like, because I mean, the Man Thing, I guess, is stronger than Shang-Chi, but like the Hulk would have the same problems with Man Thing,
Right, but the Hulk can, hit him and like splatter him,
yeah,
pick him up and throw him, and stuff like that. Your no amount of kung fu is gonna beat the Man Thing.
Okay, what is the weirdest matchup that you would love to see up against Man Thing? What about Iceman versus Man Thing?
I mean, that could be interesting, but it's not, but that's, I don't know. Would that really be much of a matchup? I mean, he puts him in a block. It's not like he
I would think Iceman would win that one.
Well,
if it's about incapacitation, I think, as opposed to death, I think that.
I mean, yeah, but like you've got to remember though, the Man Thing's also really super strong. Like he can go like toe to toe with the Hulk, right? He's like really. He's stronger than like the Thing. Like according to the old Marvel Universe game, he was like monster strength or something.
No, he wasn't. He was like incredible.
Are you sure?
Well, let's see. How strong is the Man Thing? No,
I
he
remember
wasn't anywhere
being
near
like
that
really strong, like, but it was just that he doesn't have any directed sense of like what he's doing.
I mean,
So
he can withstand. I mean, he can. He's more invulnerable
yeah, yeah,
than.
he's absolutely like invulnerable. I mean, he's just slushy. But
Okay. This is Man Thing is capable of self-propelled flight.
well, they no, don't. Oh God, don't give me
Sorry.
the
This is an
modern
excerpt.
things
He
that they've done to him.
he possesses a level of super strength. He has been shown to be able to lift a 2,000-pound automobile. However, it says supposedly his might is limitless as he's the living embodiment of the Earth's life force, making him one of the physically strongest characters in the Marvel universe. Okay, so that's
When did that happen?
well, that sounds like it's copying
The
Swamp
swamp.
Thing, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they've changed what he is and who he is over the years. So I mean, I would go by old version pre 2015, probably even before that Man Thing.
Well, that's what I'm trying to find because we're nothing if not classic official handbook Marvel Universe people.
Yeah, we ain't in for all these kitty comic book stuff.
Well, I'll admit, yeah, when I go on to like Facebook pages that are talking about comic books, I pretty much put the caveat, well, this is what it was like back in the 80s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's because things have been so retconned, and I mean, I always say pre 2015 because that's when they rebooted the Marvel universe completely, and they eliminated all the back issues. Like they just basically restarted everything, and they got rid of continuity from any point before then, I'd say.
No, I'm not finding strength level here. Dagnabbit. Okay. Well, anyway,
He's super strong.
what are some? Well, what be okay? Let's take some of your favorite characters. Who would be a mismatch? I mean, the Silver Surfer is one of your favorite characters.
Yes.
So who would be a like Silver Surfer versus?
I mean, my favorite characters are all really super powerful and unstoppable. Like,
Well, I don't know. I think Silver Surfer's at a different level. I mean,
well, the Silver, it's how the character is used that limits them, and it's their morality or what have you. Like, because
well, but Man Thing is nowhere near as powerful as Silver Surfer.
Actually, Silver Surfer versus a Man Thing would be an interesting battle.
But that's not a mismatch.
But it's not really a mismatch.
Arguably not a mismatch. I think it would be a mismatch. I think Silver Surfer would destroy Man Thing, but
would he really?
Well,
okay,
I mean,
we're not going to go there. Okay, anyway, say
I'm thinking like Silver Surfer versus like I don't know, like the Toad or something, or what's maybe a Master Planet like Mysterio. I think that would be kind of interesting because you do have the cosmic awareness going on, but I'm wondering if Mysterio could manipulate things through illusion. I'm wondering if the Silver Surfer can be fooled.
Yes,
that's what I'm wondering there. Can he be fooled with an illusion, or does his cosmic awareness allow him to see through everything? Because this is one of those things about illusions, like a magician, a magic trick. It's subterfuge, it's distraction, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not necessarily you don't have the faculties to see what's going on, but you just may be drawn in one direction as opposed to something else. So I'm curious if there's a way that Mysterio might be able to go up against the Silver Surfer. So anyway, so all of you out there in the chat section, because we actually do have two people listening.
Yeah,
let us know what you think. How would Mysterio try to beat the Silver Surfer?
Well, you had it earlier, like before we were on, talking about a famous mismatch, which was the Juggernaut and Spider-Man.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, I think you can do a bunch of those types of battles where it's, I mean, even like Rhino versus like Captain America, or, I guess Captain America, it does have some strength too.
I wouldn't be surprised if Captain America has gone up against the Rhino. Yeah. Well, Captain America is often in a mismatch.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. I think people underestimate him always because he's actually got that super soldier bit to him. He's not like who's somebody. He's not like Hawkeye, who's just a carny with the bow and arrows.
Okay. Do we want to touch on Hawkeye now?
Yeah, let's say. Well, Hawkeye, I guess he has enough weapons, but if Hawkeye versus the Silver Surfer.
Hawkeye is a low-cost rocket launcher. Okay, this is why he's valuable. He's a sniper and he's a rocket launcher, and he's like really cheap and mobile. Okay, that's what his advantage is. So he's not a ridiculous character. Now he's got more trick arrows that allow him to be more versatile than a lot of folks. But yes, he does run out of ammunition. But if you were you had a grenade launcher, if you were carrying that around, it'd be bulkier, and you would run out of ammunition with that too. So it's not any different. He's a useful character.
Okay.
And he can whack people over the head with his bow in a hand-to-hand combat situation.
All right. And he can run
seriously.
He can run at top human speed, and what?
Yeah, what? I'm sorry.
Is the strength of a man, and he's as resilient as
he's a well-trained man. He's been trained in combat by Captain America.
Okay, I guess now he's been trained in combat by Captain America, but originally he was trained by who? Well, I guess he had the swordsman and
he was a
carnies.
Yeah. Well, he was a carny.
And that made him, capable enough to be an Avenger.
He's got special arrows. I don't understand. I don't normally
just say, "Oh well, this guy has been trained by carnies. He's good enough to now be trained by Captain America and become a better."
Well, you don't seem to understand the concept of role players. Like there are the stars. There are the people that can, like Thor or something, that can fight anybody. And then you've got the other people that kind of fill the gaps on other things. I mean, I think having a sharpshooter, I think Hawkeye is, if you understand him as a special ops character, it makes sense. If you think of him as somebody, and he does get used this way, that just runs out into the middle of the battle, that's not the best use of his skill set. Because,
I'm going to go down this Hawkeye hole. When did Hawkeye join the Avengers?
He was early. He was like after the initial run, Avengers? Like maybe like 2 years in.
Who are the other Avengers at that time?
Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. And Captain America. It was after the initial Avengers disbanded, basically. And Captain America ended up with Hawkeye, Quicksilver, and Scarlet Witch. So he basically got hooked up with a bunch of former villains.
Quicksilver, Scarlet Witch, who else? And Captain America?
Yeah.
Was that the whole team?
That was the whole team for a while, yeah.
Okay. I guess if you've got nobody else, maybe you're like, yeah, we really need a rocket launcher. Like, Wasp wasn't even there? No Wasp?
No, I don't think they were in the team, yeah. I don't know how long that lasted, but yeah, it was called Cap's Kooky Quartet is what the nickname was.
Okay.
But I mean, from a dramatic standpoint, it worked because Hawkeye was always busting Cap's chops and stuff,
Okay. So,
but I mean,
if you've got nobody else in the world to join your team, and you've got, they were down in the dumps, and they needed somebody. They needed a warm body to fill a spot. I get you. Then that's why he became an Avenger. I can accept that.
I understand. It's like if he had a gun, you'd probably be perfectly happy with him.
Well, it would make more sense.
Why would it make more sense?
You can carry more ammo. If you're the greatest, I mean, honestly, if you're the greatest shot in the world, like
you're the greatest shot with a bow and arrow.
I'm the greatest marksman, and I just have such arrogance that I'm only going to do it with a bow and arrow.
I mean, I do agree. I agree that Hawkeye should have some other type of weapon,
not something faster,
in case he runs out of arrows.
Easier to shoot,
but having a sniper, and having a cheap and easy and flexible way to deliver serious ordnance, I think is actually really valuable.
Okay. I mean, okay, mismatches. Let's go back to mismatches. I'll stop with the Hawkeye hate.
Well, I'm just yeah, okay.
Because it just made me think of another character, another Avenger, who's an interesting one to throw into, a battle. Let's say with just about anybody, but it's like Tigra. She was just kind of like a werewolf, but a tiger lady. You could put
Oh,
her up against like Doctor Doom, or there's a mismatch for you, or the Juggernaut, like
well, anybody against Doctor Doom is kind of a mismatch,
yeah.
but you're liable to win.
Well, actually, you've got Squirrel Girl, who has done this a number of times, right?
Well, she just beats everybody. She's
Yeah,
she's invincible, right?
yeah, that's her
But
power.
and they do it all off panel, right? But the uh, but I mean, well, Tiger's interesting because I think she's, as far as I know, she's as strong as Spider-Man, and at least that's what it used to be. At least going back to the official handbook, that's what they said. So I mean, that's not a weakling,
No,
and she's obviously super fast and stuff. She's got issues with turning into a cat,
yeah,
or becoming more cat-like and
yeah.
losing her agency. But she's
Maybe
pretty tough.
more of a Hellcat then, because she was not that strong.
Hellcat was not that strong. Yeah.
Yeah, um,
So Hellcat, yeah, Hellcat, yeah. See, this is interesting. You bust on Hawkeye, but somebody like Hellcat, come on.
at least they've got superpowers. And they're attached to something more than carnies.
Well, I still don't understand how you can think Captain America. I mean, if you're talking about the logic of these characters, Captain America is not more logically sound than Hawkeye.
He
I would
always is, because super soldier serum.
no. You're just
He's elevated beyond anything.
he's like the peak level Olympic athlete
No,
with
he's
a
like peak level humanity, like peak level human. So not even Olympic athletes. Like, they might be good at one thing. He's good at all the
no. I
things.
get that, but
He's human.
he's got a. I'm just saying that if you in the real world,
Hmm.
if you had peak athlete Captain America versus bow and arrow sharpshooter. I mean, mind you, not just a sharpshooter, but the most accurate sharpshooter in the world, that could shoot at you with grenades. Then that shield's not going to protect you because you could just shoot like 3 grenades, have them land on either like 3 different sides of you, and the shield's only going to protect you from one. I mean, it's just not.
Well, that's true, unless you jump and have the shield behind you, and then you're ahead of all of them.
Well, but I'm saying, like, you know, Hawkeye can shoot 3 arrows at once.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I mean, you could have them one in front of you, one in behind you, one to the side, and your shield can't cover the whole thing. Captain America is a completely impractical character, is what I'm saying, relative to Hawkeye. So if you're allowing for Captain America,
Right. He's limited by his mere human abilities. He
but
just
yet
is.
Captain America is not as good a sharpshooter as Hawkeye.
True, true.
So
But actually, are you sure about that? Because he's peak human. So that would make him as good as Hawkeye.
no, I don't
If
think
Hawkeye is the best, that's Cap's level.
I think it involves
Because he's
training
just a
and
human.
it involves training. He's got the physical capabilities, but I suppose if he were to put time and effort into learning, but I don't think it would be instantly as. But whatever the case, the point is Hawkeye. I think Hawkeye would actually in the real world,
Mhm.
a bow and arrow guy that can shoot a variety of ordnance would be more useful than a guy with a shield.
Okay. But the guy with the shield also at times has carried a gun. So,
Well, there's no reason why. I mean, where we're doing it that way, there's no reason why Hawkeye couldn't carry a gun too.
but
But
Hawkeye doesn't carry a gun. Captain
well, Cap
America
doesn't
was a
typically carry a
soldier with
gun
a
either.
gun.
Cap doesn't run around carrying a gun.
But he was a soldier with a gun, so he's skilled with a gun. So he could just as easily just run around with a gun and a shield.
Well, so good. Well, Hawkeye could run around with guns and
If he
knives.
ran
He
around
does
with a
have.
gun,
He's a swordsman, right? Doesn't he? Doesn't he have the sword stuff?
does he do? Does he?
Yeah. Well, because he was the Ronin character for a while.
Yeah, actually, that's right. He did do this. Well,
So
yeah,
he's
no, but I
actually
was
like a
thinking when he was
samurai or
trained by
something.
the swordsman originally,
Oh,
and
there you go.
did
So
he
the
train
guy.
with
So
Persona for a while?
okay. So here's the question. So if Hawkeye was a master of swordsmanship in addition to being a master
Well,
the
that's
bow and
still
arrow
him,
guy, do you feel like he'd be worthy then?
but he's still just hand to hand. I mean, he's still just a
There's
human
a lot
guy.
of hand-to-hand characters that
You
are.
know, I just
This is the thing. It's not that. I mean, I think yes, there are serious limitations to Hawkeye, and if again you're applying real-world logic, there are troubles there. But why single out Hawkeye? That's what I don't understand. Because there are people that are much. I mean, Daredevil
who's
doesn't make a lick of sense. You know, I mean, it's there
who's
are other characters
but
that are much
no, but
worse
you
off.
say that about Daredevil, but Daredevil has his whole, you know, super radar or whatever, you know.
But how does it help him dodge bullets?
That's exactly what it does. Is my estimation is that that's exactly what it does. It helps him dodge
There
bullets.
is a point at which your reflexes can't be that fast.
But his are because of his exposure
He doesn't
to
have super. He does not
chemicals.
have superhuman reflexes.
Are you sure?
He just has superhuman senses.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I know he's not like super powerful or anything, but I feel like there's
Fine, Moon
something
Knight.
that makes him.
Moon Knight.
Well, Moon Knight's connected to like. Well, I I don't know. Like he is absolutely connected to the Egyptian god, right? That's not just him
I don't
crazy.
think he gets any special powers from it. It just makes him go crazy in a different way.
I thought that it gave him, some abilities. I
Maybe.
mean,
I don't know how they're doing them these days, but in
I
the
thought,
old,
well, I mean, I don't know him well enough to, but from what I've read, it seemed like he was. I mean, he's a whole other
he
character.
might. I think he gets like resurrected or something.
Yeah. So
I think that's the thing there. But I don't think he. I think he's a human character. I don't know. Anyway, I'm just saying Hawkeye's better off in a
so
lot of those.
who is the
Hawkeye's better off
weakest?
in a lot of the hand-to-hand combat.
So like who are some of the weakest characters out there that you could mismatch that seem always mismatched? Because that's what I feel about Hawkeye. He's like infinitely always mismatched. Like when they came out with that series, the Hawkeye series, that was a really good series because it really pointed out things like he's just a guy with the bow and arrow, and he's a bit of a loser.
Well, well, that's true. That's always been the case,
You know?
But I mean,
And I liked
he's
that series, honestly.
it's
And
a
I
great series.
and I really liked the Disney show they did with him too. That was fun too.
Yeah, I like that not as much as the comic book.
I accept and I buy into that version of him always, but it's as a character, he's always been like a really silly character to me because it's like it didn't make any sense for him to be really there. And I think people kind of glommed onto that, and that's why they've got these good takes on him where he's like, he's just a guy with bow and arrow. What the hell is he doing here?
I
And
just
so he's all constantly and consistently
it's
mismatched.
not just a bow and arrow. They're trick arrows. But he's got ordnance, right? Now, once he's out of the bows, once he's out of the arrows, I agree. It's like, he's not as useful. But I mean, the point is that, he's got very powerful arrows.
I'd say, is there anybody else who has like a strong limitation, I guess, to their abilities like that? Because that's what I feel like he has. It's
Well, I mean, you've got, this is the thing. I don't see how he's any weaker than somebody like the Scarlet Witch. Because I think that's what we're really saying is that because she's powerful, but you could sneak up on her and knock her
well,
out.
yeah, but he can sneak
She's
up on
vulnerable to
most
bullets
people.
or something like that. And I guess what it is with Hawkeye is he's I mean so that he's vulnerable, but he's also very powerful.
Hmm.
I mean he basically I mean this is the point. He can blow up a car, right?
Right.
He
But
can he has acid arrows. He can burn
like
through walls.
but he sneaks up on somebody, and I mean, with I guess if he's out of arrows, right? He sneaks up on somebody, and he can do what any human can do, and most of your villains
Well,
are more than human.
I mean, this is a regular thing with Hawkeye stories is that he does run out of arrows and he's got to figure out what to do. And yes, there is a point at which he becomes. But I mean, that would be true of anybody with bullets too. It's just that people don't like to pretend like folks run out of bullets, right?
Well, but you could carry a lot more bullets than you can arrows.
It's true, but it's a limitation
For every
there.
single arrow he carries, he could probably have like 50 bullets or 30 bullets,
Well, but he's got like little arrows that are he's got little arrow packs, and they kind of grow in size and stuff like that.
But I mean, that's what I mean. So for each arrow that he has, even his arrow packs, he would have bullet packs, right?
But a bullet is not as effective as a grenade arrow, or an acid arrow, or a lasso arrow.
Why can't you make all of those into bullets? Like an acid bullet.
They're small.
You could make them a little bit bigger, but not as big as an arrow.
Well, then you get to it being like a grenade launcher.
So you're a fraction of the size of an arrow that you're firing still, and you can carry more.
Well, I mean, I would say that you would need something bigger. It would be more like a grenade launcher, and that's basically what you've got. Is Hawkeye's basically a guy with a grenade launcher.
Chat says arrows are a lot quieter than bullets, but you could also have a silencer.
Well, the silencers don't actually. You still get the sonic boom, right? Okay. Anyway, all of you out there understand exactly how intractable this discussion is. We've had this for years, and Terrence is wrong now, as he's always been, and you've borne witness to it. So, see, still makes a big bang even with a silencer. See. Latex, double O latex. I don't know how to pronounce the name, but he agrees with me.
All right. Yeah. So carnies for the win. I got you.
All right. I think it's time for us to call it quits with this episode. Hey, if you enjoyed it, please like, follow, and share the program with your friends, and be sure to catch the Lost Pinata live stream weekly on Twitch. Are you still doing that?
Yeah. It's live every Thursday.
What did you do last time on it?
I've been working on my webcomic, which is slowly growing. I don't know when that will ever be done, but it's fun to I just sit and I draw.
Really. So yeah, if you want to check in with us while we're working on projects, that's a good way to go. Also check out our other podcast, Heroic Origins.
Yeah, that's wherever you listen to podcasts, and you can check out Dave's website.
Yeah. www.davidcoyle.com. And I'm a musician mostly, so I got a bunch of music there, but also some other video projects and podcast projects. So.
All right, so that's it for this episode. So now it's time for you to whack your own piñata. See what shakes out.
Now get lost.
Beat it.
On
you.